that we're allowed to make mistakes. We don't have to be perfect. I remember a time when I was a boy in church, and you had to sit so perfectly still, and you couldn't fidget, you couldn't move, and everything was so tightly scripted that nothing ever went wrong. And I think that if Jesus was here, Jesus would be a little bit more informal than formal. I thought I would like to sing a song for you today. And this is a song that Barbara and I had sung at our wedding by a friend of ours. And it's a song that was popular a few years ago. You might know it. And we'll see where we go from there. Some say love, it is a river that drowns the tender reed. Some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. Some say love, it is a hunger and endless aching need. I say love, it is a flower, and you its only seed. It's the dream, afraid of waking, that never takes a chance. It's the heart, afraid of breaking, that never learns to dance. It's the one who won't be taken, who cannot seek it. And the soul, afraid of dying, that never learns to live. When the night has been too lonely, and the road has seemed too long, and you think that love is lonely, for the lucky and the strong, just remember, in the winter, far beneath the bitter snow, lies the sea that with the sun's love in the spring becomes the road. We are people who pay attention to ancient texts. But if we are wise people, we are also paying attention to modern texts. That is to say that the Spirit of God is alive and well today. The Spirit of God did not just talk 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 2,000 years ago. The Spirit of God talks to us today. And when I get up here to share my thoughts with you, my trust is not in the eloquence of my thoughts. My trust is in the Spirit of God, who is longing to reach into your heart and to touch you with love. But this song, The Rose, is an important song at this time of our lives, because it's a song about lament. It's a song about wondering, how is it that everybody else is doing so fine and I'm doing so poorly? Why is it that people know love, but I don't know love? And then the song raises these questions, raises these longings, but also proposes an answer, that within each one of us there's a seed, and that with the Son's love, that seed becomes a rose. That is to say, there's something in us that is adequate to the challenge of our longing for a world in which love prevails. Now, when we talk about these things in church, we don't often use rock and roll songs, but it's important to know that God can speak to us from any direction. And this song, The Rose, picks up themes that are persistent through the Bible. And one of those themes is the longing for things to be different than they are. And what I've noticed this week as I've been reading through the text is that there is a spirit at work throughout the scriptures. And we use the word, this morning when we were singing songs, the word Father, Father, Father. The word Father is so common in our tradition. But in the Bible, Mother is also a very important word, even if it tends to be in the background. The spirit of a mother's love has so many times changed things for so many people. I thought of a couple of examples. We all know the story of Abraham and Sarah. Abraham and Sarah in their youth had been promised that if they stepped out in faith, they would receive an eternal inheritance from God. And that was understood by them as that they would receive a child. Because a child in the Bible is always the symbol of a future. And Sarah was somebody who didn't have that child that was promised to her until very late in life. One day the angel comes to Abraham and Sarah and says, "You're going to have a baby." And Abraham, being the man, is kind of proud. He's getting to be about 90 years old. He's thinking, "Oh my goodness, I'm going to have a son." And Sarah, Mom, she laughs. "Who are you kidding?" But the thing about that story is that it's unlikely that it ever could have happened. It's very unlikely that a woman at the age of 90 plus could conceive and bring forth a child. So there's something going on in the story which is not just about the facts. It's about the symbolic reference. And Sarah's faith is fulfilled, and they do have their child Isaac. Now there are other stories. There's Rachel, and Rachel is the wife of Jacob, and Rachel has another wife with her, Leah. And Rachel is a little bit lost, because with Jacob, Leah is having kid after kid after kid, and Rachel cannot conceive a child. She's barren. And this is a common theme in the Bible, that a barren woman is the place where God starts again. And lo and behold, Rachel conceives a son, and his name is Joseph. And Joseph becomes a very important part of Israel's history. Another mom is Hannah. And Hannah again is married to a man who has another wife. And that wife has all kinds of kids, and Hannah cannot conceive a child. And she is longing for the child to be conceived in her. And then one day, she goes to the temple, and she prays, and the priest hears her prayer, and he says, "Go ahead, whatever you pray for, you're going to get it." And lo and behold, the priest, even though he was kind of superficial and airy-fairy about it all, somehow God did conceive a child in his womb. And that child became Samuel. And Samuel became the first person in the prophetic tradition. And we've heard the prophetic tradition mentioned in the songs we sang. The prophetic tradition is always about people struggling, people suffering, people languishing. And the prophetic is that person who hears the Spirit of God and speaks out what God's heart is concerning the future. And that Spirit is always about justice. Now in Micah, we hear about a little town, the town of Bethlehem. And here again, the town of Bethlehem may be geographically significant, but it's even more spiritually or symbolically significant. It means house of bread. It means that if you look towards Bethlehem and the stories that are generated from the history of Bethlehem, you will be fed in your spirit. And the important thing to recognize is that Bethlehem like Gordon King Memorial United Church, is tiny in the grand scheme of things. But it's at Bethlehem that God decides to do something new. And we know from the Christmas story that Jesus is going to be born in Bethlehem. And Micah talks about a woman who's going to conceive. Now, it doesn't say it in our text this morning, but in some translations it says a virgin. And the point being, again, not so much that supernaturally God conceived a child from a virgin, but that this is a woman who is unaffected by the ways of the patriarchy, unaffected by the ways of the world. She's innocent. And she hears the word of God and she conceives a child within her. And Micah is picking up the tradition, the recognition that when change comes in human history, at the very heart of it, there is almost always a faithful woman. And we get that if we think carefully. Because where does a child spend the first 9 months or so of its life? Inside a mom. Mom's thoughts, mom's feelings, mom's spirit are part of the formation of that child. And the women in these stories that we have in the Bible are women who have a deep relationship with God. And that relationship informs the formation of the child within them. Mothers are very important in the Bible, even if they are not front and center. Now that brings me to the text in Luke about Mary. And again, Sarah was a woman who was not likely to conceive a child. Hannah was a woman not likely to conceive a child. Mary was a young girl not likely to conceive a child. And this is not about the supernatural. It's about the metaphor, the symbol of a woman uncontaminated by the way of the world and receptive to the word of God. Mary hears what God says to her and she believes it. And this brings about the formation of a child in her womb. And for me, I can't help but imagine that Jesus spent the first years of his life in mom's kitchen with her. Because moms were the ones who raised kids. Dads didn't have much to do with that in those days at all. Dads were the bosses of the house. Moms were the servants in the house. And I suspect that through his relationship with his mom, Jesus became the kind of person that he was. Now Mary, when she knows that she's going to conceive a child, when she knows that this child is going to be the child of God, sings this happy song, a song of great rejoicing. She is overcome with gratitude because God has heard the longing of her heart. She's sad about what's going on in the Roman Empire. She's sad about what's going on in the Jerusalem establishment. She's sad that her world seems to be coming down all around her. And in this, we can sympathize with her because we feel at times too, what's going on? We too long for change. But in the middle of Mary's song, there's the indication of the nature of that change. And that change is not that when we die, we're going to go to heaven someday. That may be part of the story, but it's not the most important part of the story. Because that happens after we die. And until we die, we have to live. And the Bible story is about how we live. And Mary is told by God that her son, Jesus, is going to change the way of the world. He's going to take the great, big, powerful people and he's going to bring them down to earth. He's going to take the poor and he's going to lift them up. What Jesus is going to do is fulfill the hopes of all the ages, the hopes that all people everywhere could have enough to eat, that all people everywhere could have a place to sleep. And when I say those things, I can't help but think of all the moms on the planet right now, all the moms in countries where there are famines, all the moms in countries where there is war, all the moms in places where life is just going to hell in a handbasket, all these moms longing for things to change, praying, sometimes in the Muslim faith, sometimes in the Jewish faith, sometimes in the Christian faith, but praying to God, please change the world so that when my child is born, when my child grows up, it may live in a happy and healthy world, not a world that seems to be falling apart. Mothers everywhere are longing in the way that Mary, Hannah, and Sarah longed. And surely God is paying attention. And God is deciding to get engaged. And what we can hope for is that we can get involved with God. And the key to that is not to become assertive people, but to become receptive people. And that's the thing about these women in the Bible. They received the Word of God, and the Word of God came to life in them and produced a child who would change everything. So we, in the psalm, read together about God getting involved. And the refrain we repeated together was, "Let your face shine, let us be saved." And this is something that ought to be at the very center of our being in the world. At the very center, we should be longing for God's appearance. And God's appearance not far off, but God's appearance within us. Because as God appears within us like a little light, and a little light in our neighbor, bit by bit the light begins to grow, and we begin to have opportunity to be saved. But it means making a decision. Making a decision for the way of God. Making a decision against the way of the world. And that is in Mary's song. Making a decision that we don't want a world where some people are rich and powerful and others have nothing whatsoever. We don't want that kind of a world. We want the kind of a world that God wants. A world where those who have make stuff available to those who have not. And in some indigenous cultures in Canada, we can see this as a tradition. It's called the potlatch. And in many indigenous cultures, it's not about what you can get for yourself. That's not how you're honored. That's not how you're considered worthy. How you are honored, how you are considered worthy, is how much you can acquire so that you can give. It's not about possession, it's about distribution. So we as a people are in the season of Christmas. We're anticipating the birth of a child. And I would like it to be clear that we are not just looking back. That's where our memory is. But out of our memory, we're looking ahead. And we're thinking of all the children being born in the world right now. And we're saying to ourselves, in the sight of God, help me to be the kind of person who makes the world a safe, healthy place for children. We who are older will be departing someday. We will be going into the presence of God. But when we leave, our children will have to live here. Let's make a decision to do all that we can to make the world better. And the best way of doing that is to make yourself better. Become kind. Become generous, become patient, become loving, become compassionate. Think about the future. Ask God to use your life to make a difference. And it may be only in a tiny little corner of the world, but for those persons affected by the difference you make, it will be as if the kingdom of heaven has come to earth. Let's be light in the darkness. And let's God's name be glorified through our experience.